My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Thank you for tuning in today. You are now listening to That Will Never Work podcast with your host, Maurice Chisholm. Hey, everyone. How are you today? Thank you very much for tuning in today. Hey, we're going to go off a little script today. There was a question that was asked of me not too long ago, and I would like to share it with you today. So the question was, what are my top moments since doing the podcast? And, I think that's a very interesting question because I've had quite a few top moments since starting the podcast. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm going to venture out. So a lot of you know that I not only have That Will Never Work podcast, but I also been doing the No Fruit podcast and the Neighbors podcast. And they're on the same channels as That Will Never Work, wherever you listen to this, right? So one of the things that I must say in starting in podcasting was my very first interview. And I had interviewed Star Colors, StarrCullars. And so she was probably one of my top moments because she was my very first interview. And for those of you who don't know who she is, she was an individual that actually had played, I believe it was the bass for George Clinton and the Parliament and Prince and things like that. So she was very much in that rock, funk genre, if you will. And she was one of the first females that was able to be in that space, along with like a Sheila E. and things like that. So she was a pioneer, and I was able to learn a whole lot from her, and just in her telling her story about being 18 and driving up to Minneapolis and in the snow and things like that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to y'all and show y'all or link to y'all the episode where we had that interview, right? And the other thing was, as I learned about her tenacity and doing things at a young age, that was one of my top moments since doing the podcast, was interviewing someone of her stature. And it really broadened my horizons. So number two on my list, it has to be starting out this year of 2022. My mindset changed, and putting myself out there as a true podcaster, and getting over the hump of interviewing individuals that are out of my normal circle. And I believe that is another top moment for me, is when I made up my mind to go beyond where I've been. And for those of you who don't know, a lot of my interviews are coming from a website called Podmatch, PODMATCH.com. So if you are interested in becoming a member of Podmatch, if you are you want to have your own podcast or be a guest, that is a great resource. You can most definitely reach people that are normally not in your circle by doing something like that. And so that was probably number two, of just making up my mind, having to make up my mind. If I wanted this podcast to grow, to really make up my mind to get forward. So number one would be meeting Star Colors and being able to interview her. And now, granted, it was not on That Will Never Work, but it was on the Neighbors podcast. Number two is making up my mind that I really wanted to make a difference in my reach, making a difference in what is programming wise that's put on this particular channel. And so and that was a challenge. And my third one, I'm only going to do the top three, and I really wanted to see where, because I wanted to challenge myself. The actual request was for maybe my top 10 moments in podcasting, and I'm like, oh wow, that would be hard, but let me make it a little harder based off of our time. And I said, what is the top three? And I think this last one, which I think trumps almost everything, because I've learned so much from it. I learned about people, their ideas, ideals, their morals, their mode of thinking. And I believe, and this I guess is part of part two at the same time, of understanding what I want as a program. But the last thing would probably be asking everyone about their chances or choices. My would you rather question of, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road? And I really think those moments, because it's more than one, if you listen to any of my interviews over the last year, 6 months, you will hear that particular question being asked over and over and over again, and everyone has answered differently, even to a point where I've been turned around and someone asked me, what would I do? You know what? I think that is a top moment that I did not expect to, or moments to be such a hit with everybody. That has really changed my outlook of being different, continue on the path that I'm going on. I've been told on numerous occasions that is one thing that makes me different from anybody else, is asking that type of question. So, my would you rather for myself would be, if I'm interviewing myself, it differs from time to time, the situation, I realize, but most of the time it's going to be a fork in the road. And I think the fork in the road will make me make up my mind and be able to live with my decision differently and not second guess or question myself. I believe I said that in the past. But I would like to say that is probably my biggest moment in podcasting, is taking the time to make that decision to be different, to get outside the box and ask that type of question and see where it would lead me or take me. Because I started to ask people different questions, different types of would you rather questions, but that one kind of took the cake. I think people were able to relate to that a little differently, and I'm able to see how people are living, if you will, and how they're viewing their lives, and in a nutshell. So, when you take a look at these moments in my podcasting career, which has been a 4-year period, to be honest. I've been doing podcasting, I guess, for 4 years now, that I have interviewed a lot of interesting people. Star Colors probably was my first, actually it was my first interview, but it was my first one that really inspired me. Like, hey, Maurice, you can do this. You can make this thing happen. Let's make it different from any other. And so that inspired me to move on and do the No Fruit podcast with my wife, and then this one being That Will Never Work. So those are my 3 things that I've taken from my moments in podcasting. So how about yourself? What are your top 3 moments, let's say within the last year, that has affected your life, that's made a change? Because if we say in general for life over the 3-4 year period, that's kind of long. And I guess sometimes those situations can, with you, some people have so many moments, maybe all of them do not stick out. So let's stick to a year. What are your top 3 moments over the last year that's made a difference in your life, that's changed you, and, that's made such a influence on your life that you're ready to make a difference in the world? Thank you very much.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.